Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. S.H. Clark here. Today we're going to talk about how to publish your book. So I've been getting a lot of questions recently on how to get your book published. Mainly, people want to know how are they going to get paid for what they write. So I'm going to talk to you guys about traditional publishing today and the steps that you need to take in order to get there. Now before we get started, I'm going to remind you that this is going to be a long process. It doesn't just happen overnight, as much as we want it to. Because I understand it's nice to get paid for your own work, right? Artists love that. And most people are talking about this advance that they want. They keep hearing about this money, this check they're gonna get. Well, I'm going to tell you a couple of ways to get to the point of getting paid on the traditional side, not on the self-publishing side. We'll get to self-publishing at the end of this. I'll give you a really quick overview of self-publishing and what to expect. You can also refer back to my publishing and agents video that I did a couple of months back in regards to the different types of publishing, but we're going to talk about traditional today. So first and foremost, I want you to remember that when it comes to getting published, it's almost like a persuasion. You're trying to persuade someone to represent you as a writer and to pick you up and send your book out there. When it comes to the publishing world, there are a few recommendations or advice points that I have seen consistently throughout agent articles or publishing articles. Versus write as much as you can. The more you write, the better you get. You don't want to focus on being published. You want to focus on your writing. That is the most important thing. If you're interested in getting your writing out there, but you're not interested in getting paid, or if you want to build kind of like a small fan base, one really good place to start is called Wattpad. It's a community where you can publish free stories and books for people to read. You don't get paid for it, but there's a lot of readers and writers your own age or that are interested in the same things you are that will be able to read your stories for free. There are 5 basic steps to getting published, and we're going to go through all 5 of them right now. The first and probably one of the most important things of the 5 steps is you need to determine what genre or category your work is going to go into. So for novels and memoirs, you first need to figure out what genre your book is going to fit in. And just make sure that you, when you're getting ready to send them your manuscript, that it's polished. You don't want to just write something and then just send it because it's not ready. And at that point in the early stage, if you start doing that, I used to do that all the time, and I've learned from my own mistakes. You're going to get rejected over and over and over again. They want something polished that they can work with. So that's where we recommend freelance editors or colleagues that would read your novel and help you edit it as well. You want to be at your most confident level when you send your book out, because if you're not confident, then you're probably going to feel a lot more pain in here and the rejection than you would expect. Just remember, there's no rush to get that book out there. You've got time. And then again, for nonfiction writing, you're mostly going to focus on a book proposal. Now, I'm not going to go into what a book proposal is. I'm not a nonfiction writer, but there's a lot of resources out there that can help you write a book proposal for your stuff. So going back to genres, in the fiction genre, there's the top categories that your book would fall into that are the most marketable. There's young adult, romance, erotica, women's fiction, mystery, crime, thriller, and science fiction and fantasy. If your work doesn't really fall into any of those big names, it's kind of gray, you can also claim it as mainstream fiction. There's also literary fiction, which I learned while I was at Fairfield University, kind of the English that you were taught in your English classes. And then there's contemporary fiction. Margaret Atwood would be contemporary. But again, there's probably a lot of controversy on what's literary fiction or not. And then for your nonfiction categories, probably the most popular are business, self-help, health, and memoir. There's 2 real major broad categories for nonfiction. Perspective, and that's your how-to, your informational or educational stories. And then there's narrative, which is like your memoir stories. Second step, you want to really figure out your work's potential to be commercialized and sold. There's different levels of publishing. So you have the top 5 big publishers, and those are, for example, Penguin, Random, HarperCollins. And then there's the smaller presses, small presses that you could be published through. And really, when you think about getting published, and if your goal is to be published from like a New York big press publishing, you're going to need an agent. Again, you can refer back to my publishing and agents video about agents, but we will do another video about how to get an agent in the future. But if you're more interested in the big 5, there are a couple categories that they specifically focus on. So for genre and commercial fiction, basically the ones I mentioned earlier: romantic, erotica, mystery, young adult, fantasy. And then for nonfiction, and to get on a shelf at like Barnes & Noble, you really need to have a platform or a strong hook or concept, because usually the big 5 don't sign nonfiction books unless they know that you're going to sell at least 10,000 copies. The harder books to sell to the top 5 would be anything over 120,000 words. The last book that I worked with that I'm hoping will get picked up by this agency was 62,000 words. But again, it depends on your genre. Poetry, short stories, and essays are really hard to get picked up by the top 5. I'm really sorry about that. But unless you have a platform, they're probably not going to take it. But that's what small presses are for. They're probably not going to take nonfiction books by authors unless they have authority or expertise in something. And they're probably not going to take memoirs with common story themes, so death, illness, caring for aging parents, mental illness. If there's not a unique story angle for them, they're probably not going to take it. I mean, unless you're Hollywood Starlight. We've been seeing those everywhere. Amy Schumer. And they're probably not going to take literary or experimental fiction. So, but like I said, if you don't get picked up by the top 5, don't despair. There's a lot of different places you can go. Regional presses, university presses, independent publishers, small presses, and then you have your digital online ebook only publishers, and there's a lot out there, so that would be a good one to go to too. And going in that direction, you want to decide if you actually need an agent. But if you want to be in a New York publishing house, I'll tell you right now, 80% of people published by New York publishing houses have an agent. Those agents have an inside connection or contact to get you that specific publishing agency. And of course, you want to ensure that you're going to get paid accurately, and an agent will actually be your go-between for that. That is their job. They're your career advisor, so they're going to make sure that you're going to get the money. And traditionally, if you do have an agent, they will get 10 to 15% of whatever you get. Don't take an agent that charges fees. They're not supposed to charge you until you get published, okay? But if you're planning to go independent press or university press or small press publishing houses, you probably don't need an agent, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, step 3 is you want to do your research on publishers and agents that could represent your book. There are multiple websites where you can actually put in information about what you're interested in writing or what you have written, and they will list you publishers and agents that are currently looking for manuscripts. Writersmarket.com, publishersmarketplace.com, agentquery.com, which is where I usually go, querytracker.net, and duotrope.com are great resources for you. Especially Duotrope if you're a poet or an essayist or short story writer. They are the place to go. So go there. Number 4 in the guidelines, read the specific material that they want. Do not just send them what other agents or publishers are asking for. Every house is specific, but there are 5 things specifically that you're going to see most common between agents and publishing houses. Query letter. 2, novel synopsis. For nonfiction, there's the nonfiction book proposal. They could ask for a novel proposal for fiction writers. And that's just your query letter, your synopsis, and usually 1 chapter. And then, of course, they could just ask for sample chapters. Usually, most common I've seen is 1 to 3. I've even seen some that are 10 pages, 15 pages, 30 pages, which can kind of end your story at a weird point that you send them. But they're going to need it because they're going to want to see at least a little bit of your writing. And my recommendation, like I've said in other videos, is make sure the beginning of your novel is the best part of your novel. Edit the crap out of it. Okay? And number 5, nobody's going to accept your full manuscript on first contact. That's what they mean by no unsolicited manuscripts, which means you're not sending them the whole thing, okay? You're going to send them specifically what they're asking for. So let's say they're asking for a query letter and three chapters. That's it. That's all you send them. Don't send them anything else. They will reject you. And from prior experience, if they say paste it into the body of the email, do not attach anything. So what are the kind of responses you can get? No response at all. Rejected. Request for partial or full manuscript. So that is what you want. That's the most exciting feeling you can get ever as a writer. Unless you're like me, who got really lucky and they asked for the whole thing after 10 pages. And then they wanted a synopsis, which I didn't write. So I had to write it in 2 hours. I don't recommend that. It's very scary. But if you're starting to see a common thing where consistently you're not being asked or you're being ignored, there's something going wrong. So either you're doing something really wrong, your email's glitching, you're not following the directions, something's wrong. And then you also want to think about, if you keep getting requests for more and then they're rejecting you, then there's something else wrong there too. So how long should you keep sending your novel out? Until it gets picked up, okay? Don't stop. But what about the rights to your work, right? So what about all these emails that I'm sending out? What about my work? Is it going to be stolen? No, you are protected. Well, kinda. You can't protect ideas. Ideas cannot be copyrighted. So, kind of give you an example. Sherilyn Kenyon sued Cassandra Clare because the books between the two, the Dark Hunter series and the Shadowhunter series, were very similar in idea and concept. Now, of course, that is a no-win lawsuit. You can't copyright ideas and concepts. But from what I've heard, Cassandra Clare did try to use similar words and titles in her book that she ultimately had to change due to the copyright of Kenyon's. So she couldn't use daemons and she couldn't use dark hunters because those words are copyrighted by Kenyon's official brand. So she changed it. And I mean, if you read more into the lawsuit, you're going to see their descriptions of how the characters are similar to characters that Kenyon has written compared to Clare, but they're ideas and concepts again, and you can't sue over that. Because let's be honest, I'd be suing a few different authors because I have stories written that are exactly the same. If I could sue the author for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children because I already wrote a story like that. But it's an idea. Do you have to know someone to get your book published? No. But if you have a referral connection, use it. Okay, I said at the beginning of the video we'd go over self-publishing real quick. Really easy. There's a lot of avenues. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Kobo Books, etc., etc., etc. But those are the big few. Because guess what? You don't have to submit it. You don't have to feel rejected because you just push a button and it's up. And you can charge whatever you want. Here's the downside. Most novels on Amazon are 99 cents. And it's basically free for you. You just have to pay a percentage back to whoever you're publishing through. So I used to self-publish on Amazon, and KDP, which is their self-publishing side, would charge me 35% would get charged. So I would get most of it, but not all of it. And I made some good money here and there. It's just, you have to, promote. But it works for some people. I know a lot of authors who are self-published who are making bank. But will it get you an agent? Probably not. No. They don't look at, they look at what's going on in this world of the digital age. But you're probably not going to get an agent out of it. Because it's published. They don't want pre-published stuff. Not gonna happen. Stop bitching. You're not. You want to get an agent? Do the work. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being insanely honest. Because I've been in those shoes. I said, they're going to see me on Amazon. They're going to see me on BarnesandNoble.com. They're going to call me. I thought about, how the hell are they going to call me if they don't have my phone number? They don't even have my email. I will remind people that if you do decide to publish your work online, this is also including posting long excerpts of your novel on Facebook. If you submit to a publishing house or an agency, remove the post from your social media platform. It is technically considered published if it's more than, I think, 200 words. A line or two, maybe 3, might be okay, but if you want to be safe, remove it. But you don't want to ruin your chances of not getting picked up because it was already considered a published piece of work. Just remember that publishing is a business, just like Hollywood. Be professional, be polite, take rejection with courtesy, do not get depressed, you'll get over it. You're going to get rejected over 150 times, most likely. Don't go to their office and stalk them. They don't want you there. Do not call them. If the agency puts on their website, you are welcome to contact us after a certain amount of time to check on the status of your submission. Do that. Do not stalk them at their job. You may get arrested. And just a reminder, if you decide to go traditional publishing, you will give up a lot of power and control over your novel. Your wonderful book title that you love so much will probably get changed. You do not get much say over the price, the format, the style, the title. You will go through millions of rounds of revision. Baby will slightly still be your baby, kinda. Okay, that's basically it. I hope you liked it. Just more informational, you know. I'm sorry this was a very long video, but I promised I would get it out there, and I did. So, yeah, it's my mama's birthday, so I'm gonna go get some cake. Bye-bye. Good luck.